Welcome back to Comtrack. We are back again with the Marvel Movie of the Month with Mark. What's that, Mark?
That's me!
Yeah! And folks, if you want to just skip ahead and be like, talk about the movie already, get started. There is, as always, there is a timestamp in the comments or in the description below, so you can just run forward with that. But that said, Blade. Okay, so I was wondering, I had because I was trying to think what would be a really good spooky horror movie that's also a comic book Marvel superhero movie, and the only person, of course, to go to is my man Wesley Snipes. Am I right?
Of course. Without question, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Especially this era.
Fuck yeah, dude. So I've only seen the first two, and I only saw them about a day and a half ago, back to back, because I hadn't seen any of them. I had to do my homework for this one.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, dude.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, it just always kind of, flew past my radar, and I never really got to sit down and watch it. But now I'm so glad that I did, and I'm also really glad that I haven't watched Blade Trinity yet. The purity is still there.
Dude, it's so bad. Even as bad as you think it's going to be, it's baffling how bad it is, because when you watch these two movies, they're a lot of fun. They're pretty well made.
Yep.
I mean, not to say that they're flawless or anything like that, but Blade Trinity is what happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
there's a lot to unpack. But we can unpack it in 2 Octobers.
Yes. We'll definitely be back for next October for Blade 2, and then come 2022, we'll be back with Blade 3, which should be a very interesting episode. I think, that's probably going to be our thing. Every October we do a Blade movie, and hopefully by 2023, the new Blade reboot is going to be out for the MCU with, what's his name? Something Ali. I've been reading up on this forever, and I totally forgot his name.
The new one, Mahershala Ali?
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, he's supposed to be the new Blade. So hopefully by 2023, we'll see him as Blade by then, and we can keep doing Blade every October. But that said, we're here to talk about the '98 version, the OG Blade, if you will. And
yeah.
So like I said, I don't have a whole lot of it, but so let's talk about your experience with it, Mark.
So Blade, I have a funny story with, because I was too young to see it in theaters when it came out. Well, too young, you have to be at least 17 to buy a ticket thing. So
I got you.
My parents were Blade. They weren't Blade fans, but they were Wesley Snipes fans. So I always, in hindsight, I'm like, I wonder why they didn't want to go see this one with me. Mm-hmm. But maybe he had been doing bad movies around then, and I just didn't know because I was young. Anyway, I repeatedly tried to see this movie in every place. It was the one time where somebody was actually stopping me from buying a ticket underage, and it always cracked me up. But finally, we went to one theater. It was back in the day, Kings Island here in Cincinnati had a theater outside of the park. And my dad happened to find the one person who was going to be cool about it. He walked in. He's like, I am paying for my son's ticket to see a movie that I am allowing him to see. Please let him go see this so I don't have to keep doing this.
Practically announcing it to all the people in line.
I, as his legal guardian here, bequeath you the power. You know what I mean? He was fucking knighting this dude in the middle of the Showcase Cinemas. But anyway, I finally went to see it, and I remember, one of the things about Blade 1 in particular is it has a really, really strong opening, and the opening third is just, I think, really good. So, to see that at a young age, I was like, this is the coolest movie I've ever seen, and I loved Wesley Snipes, so it was awesome.
Totally.
So you can imagine, back then I really thought, there's a couple things, and I'll bring it up in this when it happens in the movie. There's a couple things that I'm like, I don't think Marvel would do that now. It's a little too clean these days.
Yeah.
But I love this era of what Marvel was doing, because, most people will credit X-Men, and more people will just credit the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie for making the movie universe happen. But dude, none of that exists if Blade didn't happen and become a success.
Yeah.
Because that was the first one. It was 98 or 97.
This was 98. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so it blows up way bigger than they thought, which gives them enough like oomph to go like, we're making an X-Men movie, which, and it all steamrolled out of that. But Blade was such an instrumental because really, this isn't a straight horror movie, but prior to this, Marvel was exclusively making horrific movies.
Yeah.
With like the Matt Salinger Captain America and the Dolph Lundgren Punisher movies, which not great by any means. So this is like a turning point where they're like, hey, we have some money. We're going to try this and see what happens. So I have a lot of nostalgia for this movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it's weird that you mentioned that because, mid 90s was a fucking weird time for comic book fans because even in DC, they were struggling, Like, we had Batman Forever, and then literally the year before this, we had Batman and Robin. So us comic back then we were starving for this shit. I mean, the only other real like kind of superhero thing that we got was Steel with fucking Shaquille O'Neal. Like, anyone remember that one? Like,
and it's funny that you're right, dude. It was such a dark time for that kind of entertainment, and what we were getting, the stuff like you all mentioned, was all kind of goofy.
Yeah,
it felt like the only thing that worked was Batman, and then suddenly Batman didn't even work.
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, we were starving for a really fucking good superhero movie, and we were lucky just to get a superhero movie, let alone a good one. So when Blade came out, I'm sure all of us got, and plus it's a fucking R-rated superhero movie. That never happens, Like, holy shit.
And I feel like so many things happen in this movie that Marvel would never let happen again now.
We'll see. I mean, you never know, because
I very much hope I'm wrong. Please don't get me wrong, and I don't mean it in an offensive way or anything like that. I just think because you can even sort of tell the way they like handled some of the Tony Stark characterization. Because if you watch the first two Iron Man movies before Disney is a part of the picture, they're like a little more sexually forward. So I can see some of the more bloody, horrific elements of the Blade movies kind of being lost in the background. But then again, I wonder if they think audiences will be cooler about it because, vampires are involved, so blood is expected. So seeing it in an action context might be okay. I don't know. I'm very curious. I'm hyped for Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, dude. Personally, I would love to see the Blade movie be the first R-rated movie in the MCU canon. Like, I would actually love that.
That would be so cool, dude.
I mean, I don't think it would be a bad thing because, we've been following for like 10 years. So, the little 10-year-old kid who went to go see Iron Man back in 2008 now would be like, in their 20s, in their early 20s, So I don't see why not they would just go straight up for an R rating with big blood baths and have Blade bathe in their blood. And like, yes, dude, I could totally see that.
The thing is, with their whole 4-quadrant thing, I could still see them trying to do something like this. Make it kind of dark and off, where it's a movie where maybe you don't see like some of the brighter characters, like Captain America and Blade don't really hang out. Like, I could see Blade showing up in an Avengers situation, but not the other way around. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, totally.
And so in turn, I could see if they did a Blade movie that you could do a lot more of that. It would be way more sort of like placed in an outside realm where you could acknowledge the existence of the universe.
Yes.
But then he's probably not dealing with anybody other than a character maybe like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So that when he inevitably shows up in the fold of the main picture, they can kind of do what I assume they'll ultimately do to Wolverine in these movies.
Yeah.
Which is always have him killing off screen and having funny characters react to it.
Okay, yeah. And although you mentioned
what I mean?
Doctor Strange, actually, he would probably be the one MCU person that would have like a cameo in his movie. Because let's be,
right.
I
feel like that'd be awesome.
Arts. Like, I feel like they'd be like, we need some magic, we need this relic to defeat the bad guy, and we're like, and Blade's like, I know a motherfucker. And they cut.
Well, I mean, imagine just him as like in an informational resource.
Exactly.
Too, right?
Yeah. Like,
I think it'd be cool.
It would be, man. Yeah, if you want to get started with the movie, because I'm excited to watch this one.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so folks, if you got a copy of Blade, you got it on Blu-ray, DVD, if you got it on fucking VHS, dude, get it ready, because we are going to go back to 98 in a big bad way. In 3, 2, 1, click. and right away we get the New Line Cinema logo bathed in red. And
Sexy red.
oh fuck yeah. Although I noticed something is they also did the same red color for the New Line Cinema for Blade 2, but I also noticed they didn't do it for Blade 3. I took a peek at Blade 3. I didn't watch the whole thing, but they didn't bathe it in red, and I think that's why it was bad.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. They knew it was cursed footage from the jump.
And right away, I love the text, like because it honestly reminds me of Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake, like the font, the red, and just like the deep dark blacks and shit.
Oh yeah, well, and funny enough, let me throw a name out here. Kyle Cooper is the one that did the Dawn of the Dead titles. He's like one of the most famous graphic artists for titles ever. He did like
Dope.
The movie, that one you mentioned. He did Seven. He's done so many cool things. He's awesome. Look up his work sometime. He just makes cool art anyway.
Yeah,
but I agree with you. It totally has that vibe.
Yeah. I mean, even here with the bloody doctor, and we have Blade's mother ready to give birth after she's just been bit.
What a lot of people don't know is that Blade is a hospital drama.
Yeah. In a weird way it is. Although that kind of makes sense.
I'm definitely just kidding. I was just kidding anyway.
No, it kind of makes sense actually because where would a giant like mob of vampires hang out? Blood banks and hospitals. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wesley Snipes.
Oh man. Something else I was going to say about the titles that you kind of are close on is that the way they're like this bold sans serif font.
Yep.
But they kind of remind me, they're in a weird way foreshadowing. I don't want to spoil the movie if people haven't seen this, but it definitely kind of plays into some of the visual aesthetics at the end of the movie. I feel
yeah. Also love the time lapse photography.
So cool.
Yeah.
And I love that they kept a little of that in the sequel. I think maybe more in 3 because 3 is very bad and they had to fill time.
Yeah. They did keep to it. Oh, yeah.
This is Curtis Lemansky from The Shield. I'm suddenly forgetting his name. It's going to drive me nuts. Kenny something. I love that guy now.
Shit, what is it?
Whatever. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Well, I do remember the...
I'm a huge The Shield fan, so seeing him, I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
but it sucks that I hate when I'm the guy that's like, what's his name? The actor whose character name only I know.
I love this, where you're just like, wait a minute, was that a human? Because I'm seeing, wait a minute. I love that.
Exactly.
Man. But I do love the ingenious idea to hide their club in a meat locker, which is... Like, already you're like, oh, this is going to be bad for this guy. This is going to be fucking bad. Right. And right here...
See, these are the types of parties I'd like to go to.
Fuck, dude, are you kidding me? I totally went to parties like this.
Well, we have a warehouse
we
throw parties in. That's an old meat packing plant. I'd say it was a very personal reference.
No kidding. See, I just went to, like, you know, industrial golf clubs like this.
We have a literal meat grinder right on our stage. It's insane.
Fuck, that's cool. Dude, we should have, like, one year we should have, like, a Blade Halloween party.
That actually would be hilarious.
Get the pipes to pour, like, fake blood. Flavored fake blood. That'd be amazing.
I wish I had that kind of money to do that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an illegal party pass.
But also, don't you love that even though this movie came out first, a lot of this shit feels like The Matrix. You know?
For sure. So there's a big part of me that always wonders in hindsight now, because as a kid, the difference in time between this movie coming out and The Matrix, even though it was only a year, felt like a whole lifetime, right? Because it was like my formative years.
Yes.
So I wonder that sometimes because... Yeah, The Matrix took, I don't want to say it took a lot because The Matrix kind of was like one of those cool things where it took a lot of inspiration from different things and mashed them together into something new.
But
dude, there's definitely a lot of like the action.
Yes, the action, the cinematography, the soundtrack. Oh my god! Like already, this is like one of those early 2000s industrial cyberpunk goth industrial clubs that was totally ripped off of The Matrix. But it's great to say, like, these guys did it. These motherfuckers did it first. Matter of fact, this movie did a lot of firsts. A good superhero movie in the 90s from Marvel, no less. The first I forget that David S. Goyer wrote this.
David Goyer has an interesting career though, because he's wrote some bangers too. Like he wrote one of my favorite movies ever, Dark City. He wrote Dark Knight. All titles of Dark in them.
Dark Knight. Anyway, I mostly credit the Nolan brothers for that one. But as soon as this part right here started, like with the blood, which I'm like, oh my god, it's starting with a blood orgy. Fuck yes, because that's like a running joke with me and my fiance. Like we just look at the world, like especially nowadays, we're like, oh fuck everything, and we're just like, you know what we need?
Blood orgy.
What do we need, Katie? Blood orgy? Blood orgy. Fuck yeah. So like when I saw this, I'm like, oh shit, this is a nothing but a good time. Seriously, can you imagine like getting, like cherry or strawberry flavored fake blood and spraying it on the crowd like this? Like, you know,
I think a lot of people would be mad unless they knew about it.
Oh, yeah, well, it's like a thing that everyone.
But you'd
comes
expect
in.
this at a vampire club.
Yeah. But I mean, even at like a regular party, we'd be like, oh yeah, this is going to be a thing.
Right.
It's kind of like going to like a sud party. Have you ever been to one of those? Yeah, but it's just with blood, which is way freakier and fun. Look at this shit. I also love the cinematography.
Oh, I was going to point out, the cinematography here is great. I remember the actor's name. It's Kenny Johnson.
That's it.
Yeah, but continue about the cinematography. It's a great use of the claustrophobia.
The images and the spray, because they're using a really fast shutter speed to really like play up those movements. And if you would believe it, it's the man himself.
I love that they were so determined to not have the blood spill over onto Wesley Snipes at all. Like, he's so clean in that shot, and it's such a great intentional thing.
Yeah.
And he looks what a great hero reveal.
And then it's like, it's the Daywalker.
Right.
Oh,
like,
shit.
I Am Legend's about to go down.
Fuck yeah, dude. And it's crazy with the amount of blood that's going through just this scene alone, how clean he stays, Like, that's one of the
I wonder
things.
I wonder if they like literally were like, okay, nobody move, and then would walk him on the set and then be like, pause and walk him out.
Yeah.
And then do it up.
I feel like that might have been the case, but holy shit. But like I said, man, movie's got a lot of firsts. It's got, first really good Marvel movie that we've seen. Jump-started the superhero genre. I mean, X-Men gets credit a lot, but I think that's because it just came out in the year 2000, and we like to round things off as human beings. So poor Blade had
there was some brand recognition too, because like the X-Men were like huge with the comics for like 30 years straight.
Yeah.
And you had the animated series.
And plus people are like, oh, well, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was kind of big. Maybe they're just kind of, playing off of that vampire trend that's going on. So a lot of people didn't know that he was based off a comic book. So that's why it's probably like, but X-Men is explicitly comic book, so that's probably why. But the other thing that like the people tends to forget, this is the first black-led superhero movie. Fuck Black Panther. Oh, I mean, I don't want to say fuck Black.
But I know what you're saying.
But yeah, dude,
it was what. But for real, dude, and it's funny because it just. Well, that'll bring up an interesting thing later, because they kind of. I love that there's a little commentary on. It's very short, right?
Yeah.
Like, I would argue that not that. I didn't think Black Panther was like a movie loaded with commentary about race issues so much. Maybe a little bit with the whole we're not going to get involved, but whatever. But there's a scene in the hospital with Blade that I always thought was kind of like, well, I'll point out when it happens. Yeah. I love the sword fights here. If I had one complaint about this movie not holding up, because everything is so cool, the CG's dated. And that's it. And it's like such a minor... it's like some of that stuff's a little... But I love the concept, so I'm still on board. You know,
I'm willing to forgive it because, A, this movie is so stylized, and it's such a product of its time, and it adds a little bit to the camp, I think. Weirdly enough, I'm okay... Oh, I love that shot where he holds the blade up. Actually, I had a picture of Wesley Snipes with that frame specifically, and I had that at work when I was cutting mats for frames at a frame shop, and I had for all the bad blades that went dull eventually. I had that picture of him with the meat, and I wrote underneath, "Blades in here, motherfucker."
That's great.
I know, right? Man, Wesley Snipes just knows how to chew the scenery. You know who else?
I love that.
What's up? No, go ahead, please.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going
Oh,
to
I
say.
was just going to talk about.
Yeah.
I really love that. I love the stake gun in this. I know it's like
Yeah.
attached to the shotgun,
Yeah.
but there's so much cool like design. I love the way his armor looks. There's so many cool things here that I'm just like, they did such a great job of making it feel like realistic without being too silly. Like,
Yep.
I know we were joking about the Matrix, biting from it earlier, but it's funny because the Matrix I don't think looks as like cool and utilitarian as Blade does. Like he's literally just wearing like straight up like a scarier version of a bulletproof vest and a leather jacket to cover up the fact that he's probably carrying a lot of weapons on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm really kind of pissed off about this part of the movie?
What's that?
Stan Lee had a cameo as one of these cops. And they cut him
Oh,
out.
no kidding.
Yeah, they actually had him as a cameo for one of the cops here, and they cut him out. Like, dude, you could have just like had it in like just one insert. I mean, you remember the literally last episode? You remember when we did Spider-Man 2? All he got was an insert. Like that's enough for us,
Well, at this point, nobody was thinking about that. Really.
I get, yeah,
you know what I mean?
I guess, but still, fucking come on, man. Like, I guess they didn't really know just how profitable the Stan Lee cameo was gonna be, you know? Because I mean,
for sure.
And this, Jesus, can we also talk about the makeup in this movie? The makeup.
Oh,
is
for sure. The
amazing.
makeup, the set design, like everything is like so. It's so clear that artists made this, if that made sense.
Well, the director, Stephen Norrington, he started out as a makeup artist working under Rick Baker and Stan Winston.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Didn't he do something in the Return to Oz movie? Like, isn't he the couch with the moose head?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like he got involved with that end of like stuff for some reason. I remember looking that up or something. I mean, I could be wrong about the role, but I feel like I remember at some point years ago looking up Stephen Norrington and thinking about that. I feel bad for how his career went after this, though.
Yeah, because as soon as he directed League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, his career really never recovered.
Quit.
Yeah.
He actually so his whole thing was like, it was such a bad experience, I'm never making another film.
Yeah.
That movie was like production woe city.
Well,
it's really disappointing because the book is so good.
Yeah, oh no, totally. I mean, Alan Moore is just terrific. But he did try to get a reboot of The Crow off the ground back in like 2008.
Oh, interesting.
But it just kind of got it just kind of kept getting passed around, and right now it's basically in development hell, which kind of sucks because I'd love to see him try The Crow after trying, doing Blade so well. But what's also really funny? So Stephen Norrington was a makeup artist before he started directing. Blade 2, Guillermo del Toro, before directing, he was also a special effects makeup artist. How about that?
That's really interesting.
I know. So, like the whole fact that David S. Goyer just took over and directed it, that's where it all fell apart. That and the New Line Cinema logo.
Right. Oh, of course. There's two things.
Those two things is what fucked up Blade Trinity. Oh, boy.
Dude,
I can't wait to talk about that one.
I love this scene here. There's a lot happening. And then so what I was going to say is I thought we were a little earlier in the scene. But I love how it's such a drastic shift because it's this like serious conversation between the two of them where you get all this character development pretty quickly, and then, or at least backstory maybe is a good way to put it. And this was the scene I was also mentioning earlier here because she's getting beaten up.
I just got to say, he actually kind of reminds me of Lurtz, the Uruk-hai general from...
That's hilarious.
He kind of does, like from a distance, especially the way he moves. But
waiting for it to be like, meat's back on the menu, boys.
I love
that they have this fight. And by the way, I love that actor, Donal Logue. He's great. He's in so many good things. But I love that there is a monster. Okay, so this is the scene
right here
where I'm like, there is a monster in the hospital, okay? And they see a black dude and they shoot him.
But
and
no,
I
his
think
reaction,
that's the
though,
craziest
is
shit
fucking funny.
ever. Yeah, exactly. It's so good.
Are you out of your damn mind, motherfucker? and speaking of effects, look at that shit when he goes through the window. Oh, my God. This is so batshit crazy. I love it. But yeah, don't you just love... This movie's aged so well. Like, there's a literal monster, and the black guy gets shot, and what does he just tell him? He's like, are you out of your mind, motherfucker? Hell yes! This is so fucking great. And then, of course, we have a little flashback like, she looks like my mom, but she's just another woman. But she looks like my mom. We gotta rescue her.
This scene is funny to me. Well, I guess he sees that she's bitten. That I remember.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because literally the previous scene was him saving someone, but I was like, well, he probably couldn't see that he saw that the dude had not been bitten, but
Yep.
I'm the idiot.
Oh man, these crazy camera edits, man. It's so fun. Also, right here when he yeets her out there, oh, she dead. She really should.
Conveniently, there's all these cardboard boxes.
I know, right? And look, right there. There's another first. Like Blade did that before Matrix did it. Blade did it first.
I kind of love I love the way they handled that effect too, where it's like they just match together a stuntman on a green screen with a practical shot.
Yep.
What I think the reason this movie works so well is that for the most part, it's like just green screen replacements, and I love this. Oh, I gotta pop your shoulder.
Yeah,
Because that was a thing in late 80s and 90s movies. People were it started with Martin Riggs and Lethal Weapon, and then everybody was,
yeah,
popping their shoulders out. But
yeah,
no,
many
I think that
firsts.
their mix of practical stuff in this, that's really, I think, part of the big reason it holds up, because it's like there's not a ton of CG. What's there is dated, but that's sort of the nature of CG at a certain time when we didn't know what we were doing.
Especially, one with clearly they didn't have like the big, $100 million budget and whatnot.
For sure.
So like,
this is no Jurassic Park.
No. But I mean, and again, I still don't mind that it looks dated. I'm actually kind of okay with it because it kind of balances the awesome with the silly, But I just really am like so blown away at how many firsts that this movie got. The first black-led superhero, first superhero movie to really jumpstart the superhero franchise. I mean, paving the way for X-Men and then all the other movies after that. And as honest trailers, of which I'm a big fan. It's also the first movie to have like a solid origin story, follow up with a better sequel, and then go completely off the rails with the third one.
That's great.
I know, right? So, like, holy shit, there's so many. I think they even have, like, the first Marvel hallway fight scene, I think.
Oh, yeah, it's towards the end of this.
Yeah, so...
I did not know
cool
people
firsts.
track that kind of stuff. This is the first Marvel hallway fight scene.
Yeah,
and it's funny.
Yeah. Love the choice of Bad Mood Rising.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Real good, man.
Again, it's like, and there's a lot of things that I'm like, the use of licensed music at times is pretty clever in this and works to sell the environment. Like, I think Chris Christopherson is so good as Whistler.
Yes. Oh, dude, I love Whistler. Wasn't he actually kind of like invented for this movie? Because I know he was like a thing in the comics, but like after
But I don't think he was the mentor as much in the comics. I'm pretty sure he and Blade, like, because if I recall correctly, he was part of the Night Stalkers, and it was like Blade, Whistler, and one other person.
Yeah.
But then I think they just aged him up so that you had the mentor character.
Yeah. Although, while watching this, I mean, it's not that Chris Christopherson doesn't do a bad job or anything. He doesn't. I love him in this role. But you know who I thought would be just as good, if not better?
Who's that?
Nick Nolte.
Oh, yeah, which is funny because they grabbed him for a not too much later Marvel movie.
Hulk.
The first Hulk, the Ang Lee Hulk.
Yep. But I just think, that grizzled, Nick Nolte kind of thing.
Yeah.
That would work
Tom Waits, dude.
Yeah. You know who else?
Tom Waits would have been too young in 97, though.
Yeah.
I think is the problem.
Yeah.
Or 98, rather.
But you know who else they wanted to get for Blade? The studio had 3 other choices. They wanted...
Probably Denzel, right?
Denzel Washington, Wesley Snipes, and Lawrence Fishburne. Which I'm like, eh. But you know who I actually would have nominated if Wesley Snipes was available at the time? I would have nominated Keith David. Yeah,
I think I can see that.
Well, it's
I don't know
mostly
what
in the
I
voice.
can't tell what I don't know how old he is relatively speaking. So I'm like, would he have been too old at the time? But I don't think he would have been.
I don't think so, because right now he's only 64. So what is this? Like So he would have been in his 40s by this time. So honestly, I think he could have probably done Blade here. Honestly, I would have cast him only because of his voice. Because if you don't know, he already did like a stellar job doing Spawn, the animated series.
Yeah,
which
back
is fantastic.
probably really right around this time.
Yeah. Wait, when did Spawn come out?
The movie or
the movie.
show?
The movie. Was that
I think
like
the movie
90...
was right around this or right before this.
I think it was
probably
97.
right before. I bet it's 96 or 97.
Oh yeah, it was 97. So we still didn't quite get a really good R-rated dark superhero movie. Oh wait,
yeah. So wait, does that actually mean that Spawn was the first black-led superhero movie? I mean, it's not a good one, but
I mean, we can also count Meteor Man with Eddie Murphy.
yeah, and Robert Townsend deserves more love in the black filmmaker discussion. I feel like from back then, but that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah,
but
totally.
I never saw Meteor Man. I don't know if that's any good. But
I hear it's awful.
Yeah, it seemed like one of those movies that had too many famous people in it.
Yeah,
I remember seeing it as a kid. It's like, wow, every famous person ever is in this.
Oh,
by the way, that's made me a little nervous about Black Panther. I remember I was like, oh, I hope this is good. They literally are pulling out all of the stops on the casting, and then it was great. So.
Yeah, it was not just great. It was great enough to be nominated for an Academy fucking award, Best Picture of the Year, man.
That kind of shocked me.
It did too.
We'll
I didn't
talk
think it
about
would win.
the Black Panther episode.
Yeah, totally. Although, did you know that Wesley Snipes wanted to do this movie specifically just so
because
he
wanted to do that, right?
Yeah, he wanted to be Black Panther himself, and also we should probably just do like a little thing because, God, man, dude, it's so sad that Chadwick Boseman's gone. Like,
for sure.
Like, because, I found out literally right after I watched Bill and Ted 3 with you. And that bummed me out for the rest of the evening. That was such
it was like crazy. It was like we had this really nice night. We're like, wow, what an uplifting movie. That's great. You guys feel great. I feel great, too. And then, it was like 20 minutes after you left my house. It was like, hey, dude, I don't want to be that guy, but Chadwick Boseman just died.
Oh, it sucks. And speaking of sucks, I'm sorry. I just don't really care for the villains in this movie. Because, the thing that irked me off, because, I mean, we kind of missed it, but whatever. It's like, when they first introduced Deacon Frost, like, we got a flash of his face in the nightclub scene. But in here, his reveal is super weak, from a camera and direction and editing standpoint. It's just him, like, standing in a waiting room, like literally getting up and be like, hello, I will be your villain today. It's really weak. And apparently, the Deacon and Frost in this movie is extremely different than his comic book counterpart. Like, he's supposed to be in his 50s and have, like, a really deep German accent, and now he's, like, a fucking late Gen Xer with a preteen Madonna or something. Like, I don't know how to feel about it.
It's like they made all the classic Blade characters older men in this, which I thought was interesting. So it's funny to see Udo Kier, who's actually kind of a little bit more along the lines of what I know of the comic Deacon Frost to be.
It's weird.
So then I'm like, oh, who's the young kid? But I think there's something interesting there, and there are definitely moments where I like the villains, but they're not great. Their goal is kind of boring. I kind of feel like the villain in Blade 2 is so strong.
Yes.
Oh
my God.
That works out overall the best in the franchise for villains, but
totally. Because I was like, look, he's hamming things up in all the right places, but it's still really dumb. And it's just so weird that, like, when you look at, Deacon Frost in the comics, you're like, you got this, big leader of, like, the council leader of the vampires here that kind of looks like him. Why not just give that actor the role? Like, why are we going for this weird, very edgy 90s thing? I feel like that's like a thing that David S. Goyer insisted on. I'm sorry. A lot of stuff of David S. Goyer I just really don't like, especially in the last, 5 years, like with BVS. Really hate David S. Goyer for that one.
Dude, here's the thing. I seriously think, just judging from some of these people's pattern, because like Chris Terrio technically wrote the Justice League movie, and I'm like, there's no way that's true.
Yeah.
And after having my own experience where I wrote a script for somebody and they very clearly didn't get it and then didn't ask me questions in order to understand it.
Yeah.
And I've since seen the final product. It's one of those things where I really, no matter what, I mean, and I'm sure maybe the scripts aren't great still, but I think those movies are almost 100% the fault of Zack Snyder. I hate to be that guy. But.
Yeah. I do love the little thing with his sword and how that
so cool.
Well, how that actually gets some payoff later. Good shit. But
for sure.
I think David S. Goyer is kind of like the neo Frank Miller, where some of his early stuff is actually legitimately brilliant, and then he goes completely batshit insane and goes way off the rails. That's kind of just me.
I can see that though.
Well,
like, go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's just like, how crazy some of the early drafts were. Apparently, when she wakes up here, she was supposed to find like some dead vampire fetus babies that these guys are performing experiments on.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like they were going.
That's in the
really
bigger budget
nuts.
version.
Well, now honestly, the studio's like, that's a little much. So let's not do that. So, but yeah, they kind of went really extreme. But I do love his little serum suppression to keep the bloodlust at bay, which is actually kind of a cool concept. Because isn't in the comics isn't Blade just like a regular human being who's just happens to be immune to vampirism?
I honestly don't remember, because I think the only time I'd ever seen Blade before this was briefly on the Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah. Oh, that's when everyone got to meet him for the first time. Such good shit, man. Such a good show. Actually, I think there's like a little bit of a nod to that show in this movie. I think there's like a little. I think it's in Deacon Frost's apartment. I fucking love that. But in Deacon Frost's apartment, they have like a little bit of like bat merch from the show, which I thought was really funny. But that's not smart. Pouring that much gasoline and then lighting up a cigarette. I honestly felt like they were going to be like, they were setting something up there.
Yeah, like it could have been some explosive setup for later, but nope. It's just how fucking cool Whistler is.
You're not cool by wasting gasoline, man. Even in
dude, Whistler he's 90s cool, dude. He was like, fuck the environment. He's what we would call a boomer now. He'd be like, you goddamn millennials, Blade, in your iPod headphones. I don't have time to catch you fuckers at a bad time.
Like, when I was your age, gasoline only cost me 39 cents a gallon. And I'm going to keep treating it like that.
Well, you know what's funny is at this point in time, gas was like 79 cents a gallon.
Man, I miss the 90s.
Because I remember driving a few years after this, and one of the last cheapest times I ever paid for gas was 79 cents in the middle of Milford, Ohio. I'll never forget it. It was at a little United Dairy Farmers gas station. And then 9/11 happened like a month later. And then gas has never been affordable since.
I really miss the 90s. Although, speaking of 9/11 and Wesley Snipes, you know what? Did he actually hear that his apartment actually got destroyed in the attacks?
No.
Yeah, he totally.
That's crazy.
Yeah, his apartment at the time totally got destroyed in the attacks. I mean, he was okay. He was on the West Coast when it happened, but still, crazy. I thought that was like a little interesting little Wesley Snipes footnote.
Damn.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Wesley Snipes' house, baby.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, he was still rich back then because of all the money he didn't pay the government.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I those are the stories where I'm like, I never understand that, but maybe I will because I'll have that kind of money next year. I've decided.
Hopefully.
So
We can only hope, right?
I'm keeping positivity. If I keep booking gigs the way I have been during a global pandemic, I think things are going to be great.
Yeah, totally. Might even be better. Like everyone's like getting the word like, Mark, I'm sorry, I just don't have the money right now, or yeah, it's just not quite safe right now. And then a couple of years later, when things are actually the smoke is cleared, we're like, hell yeah, I've been waiting forever to do this. And
Right,
you'll see
exactly.
just mass turnouts for you.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. And also,
Oh man, it's gonna be a good year, buddy.
Yeah, and now it's. I also love how he's like, yeah, if you start to turn, just use this gun on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, shit, these guys are hardcore. Also, can we just, like, I think another weird first this movie has, this is a supernatural hunter running around in a muscle car at night for supernatural entities to hunt. Supernatural fans.
It's just the show.
Like, shit, dude. All the things, man. This paved the way for everything.
It really did. Hey, by the way, we were both wrong about Whistler. It turns out Whistler was created for Blade's cameo on Spider-Man, the animated series in the 90s. And Marvel's then CEO liked him so much that he was adopted into the universe.
Right on. And then I'm glad they got him for this movie because, he's such a cool character in these.
So crazy.
Yep. What are you doing in here? That's the strangest vampire porn I've ever seen. And I also love how he's just like he's such a dick that you can see his club music in there.
Oh, dude, this is just the scene from Grandma's Boy where the dude is listening. He's like, "You'd like it if you had robot ears."
Bitch slap. Vamp slap. Oh shit. But yeah, although I still it really boggles my mind why this other guy, what the fuck is his name? Shit,
Who?
The older guy.
Oh, Udo Kier?
Yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce his name.
I'm just so surprised that this guy wasn't cast as Deacon, to be just the straight up a little bit closer to his comic entity.
So crazy.
Yeah, but whatever. I mean, Stephen Dorff does just fine with it. He's entertaining, and that's probably the best thing you can do about this sort of thing. I mean, if he wasn't entertaining, that's where I would have been like, you're gone. Did you hear him having issues with Wesley Snipes on set?
Who, Stephen Dorff? Yeah, I think at least at first it was something about how it was. Stephen Dorff was new, and they kept having weird visitors. Like I know for some reason David Fincher was on set at times on this movie.
I think he was supposed to, he came to David Goyer to touch up the script, and at one point he was actually supposed to direct. God, can you imagine?
That's insane.
Dude, can you imagine him following up the movie 7 with this? That would have been interesting.
I would love David Fincher to do something in a universe like this.
Yeah.
I feel like oh man. Yeah.
I don't know if he ever would though, just because, he's such a perfectionist.
He would. I feel like the type of movie he could do would be like Birdman. You know what I mean? Where it's not really a superhero movie. It's kind of like making fun of it. Like to me, a show like The Boys feels way more up Fincher's alley.
A little bit,
but I think you know what I mean. Like, because it's like again, there's a lot of clever meta shit. It's well acted. Yeah, shout out to Anthony Starr on The Boys, by the way. He's giving the best performance in entertainment right now.
Yeah, I still need to sit down and watch season 2. I'm way behind.
Oh, so they've only put out the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, of the time of recording this show, that is. Yeah. By the time it's out, they should be all. But it was a silly thing. They kept getting review bombed.
I feel like by the time this is actually posted for you guys, it'll probably all be out. But eventually, I'm going to be watching it eventually. All right, so now we've got a couple of familiars on their tail, and I actually do love how they just fucking Batman out of existence. But I also love the tattoos too, like to mark them.
Oh yeah, so cool.
Yeah. As soon as they said familiar, my head immediately flashed to What We Do in the Shadows, because we already did a episode for that. Love the show. My fiance is literally the biggest fan of the show. But did you see the episode where Wesley Snipes makes a cameo in the show?
No.
Oh, he totally I won't give up too much away, but he literally phones it in, and it's hilarious.
Damn, that's awesome.
Oh, it's so good.
I love Wesley Snipes. He can do no wrong in my book. I really wish Marvel would have thrown him a bone.
Honestly, I just because I know it's totally fine that they're getting a new actor to do the new Blade movie.
And Mahershala Ali is cool. I've never seen him do anything action-y. So, and realistically, the Marvel movies, it's like 10% of the action's done by the actor these days, and they have stuntmen for most everything, so it really kind of doesn't matter. And he's a good actor, so I think it will be good. But I just love Wesley Snipes. He's one of those actors that I wish would I don't know. I wish he was one of those older actors that was getting those fun older action actor parts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you remember as soon as he got out of prison, immediately he appeared in Expendables 3, along with all the other.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I just really hope they just have a bit part or a cameo for him in the reboot, because he honestly deserves a cameo at least.
Yeah,
because we all know how pissed we are that when Tom Cruise made The Mummy for the reboot, and there was no cameo for fucking shit. Wow. I'm blanking on his name. This hurts so
Brendan
much.
Fraser.
Brendan Fraser. Thank you. Wow. I see his face, and I just. It's been a while since I watched The Mummy.
You're fired.
I'm fired from my own show.
I know, dude. It's the Mark podcast with Marvel movies once a month. Fuck. I don't know where I was going with this.
Come on, Mark. They already took some bozos already hijacked my show and made me watch Cats. And now you're gonna hide. Oh fuck! You know what? Maybe I should just.
Yeah,
stop
dude.
making
It's
episodes.
the feline connection. You should have watched out, brother. We're coming for you.
At least we're not watching Catwoman.
Hey, I have a weird question. How much of Wesley Snipes' mouth in this movie do you think is fake teeth? Because he's constantly talking with his teeth clenched. And I feel like part of his teeth. I mean, I know that at least the canines are caps.
Yeah.
But do you think I almost feel like his whole top of his mouth is a set of veneers?
I would not be shocked at all. Just so it that way it blends a little bit better and whatnot.
Right. So he's
but
he's a familiar.
Of course, it's. He actually knows how to work with the mouthpiece, I think, because it's kind of the same thing that Michael Keaton was doing with Batman, he couldn't turn his head, but Tim Burton and Michael Keaton were kind of cool with it because they had to do what I fondly call the Batman shoulder dance, and it makes him move in all these weird ways and exaggerated ways that fit for the character, and he works with the voice and the mouthpiece to the point where he's like, yeah, motherfucker. He's he knows how to work with it. So I don't really see that as much of a bug as more of a feature.
I love it. It's not a bug. It's a feature.
Oh, yeah, totally. And I feel and Wesley Snipes is oh, yeah, totally. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I love this. You better wake up.
Right?
Yeah, he's better wake up. And he's got that kind of attitude. I love it. It's just him getting her face. He's
yeah.
Open your eyes. Look what's going on. I've got veneers in and they look pretty good. But the whole time I talk like this. Also, nobody finds it weird that I wear a fucking sword in the back of my jacket.
They never really specifically say exactly what city it is. They kind of hint that it's New Orleans because, that's where most of the comics take place. But I like watching the movie and, seeing clearly this. This is clearly, New York style B footage. So I thought, some big black guy hanging around with a sword, trench coat, and sunglasses. I'm like, oh, it's New York. They don't give a fuck.
Right. It's I think it's Toronto. So in Toronto, they just be like, hey, man, you need a little help with your, sword, mate.
Hey, man, you got a sword in your back there. You ruined your jacket there.
Yeah,
Can I help
exactly. All right, buddy.
Also, would you like a
I love
Bible? Okay, now
I
this
gotta
part.
move to Fort McMurray. He's going to the blood bank, guys.
This part is so weird to me. Look at the way this is edited. This looks like Sam Raimi on speed. You
a
know,
little speed ramping thing. And I think somebody has a cameo here. I want to say it's Andrew Kevin Walker, maybe, or there's someone has a cameo. Like you'll see whoever it is that like they look at the camera and sneer in a second. You know what I mean?
Cool.
That'll come up. This guy.
Yeah.
That's somebody related to the production. Let me see if I can find out who.
I'm not sure, but I just always found that editing really like way out of place. Because, that's clearly just, a couple of cars like casually driving down like an empty New York street or wherever. And they just speed it up and it looks ridiculous. It's horrible, but you know what? It's so just dumb and cheesy. I'll go with it. Whatever. I'll allow it.
Oh, for sure.
But I love this.
If I can find any of these of who that was. I really swear that was somebody related to the production somehow. But now I'm
guess not. That's cool. But anyway,
so I get.
I love that line. He's like, "There are more dangerous things out there, like me."
Look at my sweet buckles.
Oh, and I also love how he gives you a quick exposition of, the vampire rules for the movie. Like crosses, holy water, Bibles, none of that shit works. And I think the whole logic behind, crosses or any religious stuff not working is like, I think one of the writers is like, what if a vampire's Jewish? Like, why would that work? But I do love the fact
what I always loved about this, and this is Richard Matheson wrote this in I Am Legend. I always thought this was a really clever thing. And by the way, I love this like weird Japanese Yakuza kind of Illuminati thing with the young girls. So weird.
I know. But...
Again, ahead of their time calling this stuff out. But then again, Blade is totally, like so many people, just passing a blind eye. He's like, I got other people to stab.
Yeah,
but I totally lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this? Oh, no, Richard Matheson. He described the whole reason crosses worked on vampires because it was like this reminder of their like life, effectively in a weird way. That it was like this. This sort of tie that I'm definitely messing this up. And I know if somebody has more recently read the book than I have, they'll be like, well, it's actually this. But it's effectively about how like it reminds them of their humanity.
Mark's
in a weird way that's lost.
Mark's wrong. Right. I'm going to comment all over you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, well, I guess I don't get the notification, so I'm good.
Okay, so now we've got this motherfucker. He's like, it's in the fridge. Oh my God.
It was somebody's idea. I think it was Wesley Snipes' idea to have. This is Pearl's room they're going into, right?
Yes, down.
Yeah, the idea was to have Pearl in the fridge. Was Wesley Snipes? I love that.
Which is actually kind of an ingenious idea because having all these computers and this giant, truly morbidly obese, something that puts Jabba the Hutt to shame.
Oh, dude. There was, by the way, in that prosthetic, there was 700 pounds of latex.
Jesus Christ.
And by the way, the dude that plays it, Eric something, he's like a fat actor that did a bunch of stuff in the 90s.
Yeah.
I think he's since lost like hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
But at the time, he was a huge person. So like there is definitely prosthetics here, but like his face was definitely that fat at the time. And I don't mean that mean or rude or anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, knowing you would never throw another fatty under the bus.
No, I feel like that's the only truth about fat people is that we're like the most fat phobic usually. That we're always just like, oh yeah, I'm fat, but look at that fat. I'm kidding. It's all jokes. Relax. I don't believe in phobias. I mean, except for arachnophobia. I'm very afraid of those. But,
I did a movie called Aticophobia. If y'all want to check that out.
I love that the idea, I don't know if you read this, but the idea for Pearl's fatness when we see it is because Pearl has been like, how do they worded it awesome. They were just like
they eating
like
hearts
cannibalistic.
And shit?
Yeah, like eating the hearts of children.
Oh, that's so nasty. Okay,
It's
this
so
is the one
nasty.
thing that they never explained that I actually kind of want to explain. What's with the
Yeah.
rubber duckies?
I think that was just like,
Like, what is
I feel like there's a
this?
lot of on the set because Donal Logue's character was definitely like not written as much, and then when he's in the movie,
Yeah.
apparently a lot of it was like ad libs.
Okay.
So, I'm willing to bet that a lot of this stuff was just like one of the actors was like, "Oh my god, you know what Deacon Frost would totally do? He would totally have rubber duckies here because he would think it was funny." And they're like, "Okay."
That's really dumb.
That's my guess, but I feel like we'd find it and be like, "Yeah, that's
This
it."
scene brought to you by Apple.
Yeah, right.
Don't you just love computing in the 90s?
Oh, for sure.
This scene was brought to you by Apple computers running on Windows 98 for some reason.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Dude, I want their bed, that enclosed bed.
I
so
know,
bad.
that's
It's
so
sick.
cool. Especially if it's like, air cooled and shit, like an air filter on it. Like
Yeah.
that would be cool.
Everything needs to be air filtered.
Yeah, and I
in
do
my
love the
opinion.
apartment here. Oh, and speaking of bad New Line CG, or bad CG movies, for action CG from movies from the 90s, it's coming
Yeah.
up on the TV that these cats are watching, because, they got music and they have a party in the background, but there's a shot coming up here where someone's watching TV, and take a close look what's on TV. It's right about here. Did you catch it?
Oh, it's a reptile from Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah, Mortal Kombat, baby. Like
That's
I'm like,
so funny.
It's like another New Line cinema movie with action, based on a property action movie, New Line cinema with horrible CGI.
Yeah, right?
Oh, I love
So funny.
the blood on this part right here, where he just chews an entire piece of his neck off. Oh, it's so sick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, get up in there. That's the bat toy that I was talking about earlier. They had a little bit there where it was kind of a nod to the animated series. Oh shit.
Dude, right? I love this and like the River of Blood. And seriously, they did it just because they were like, I bet the juxtaposition of a body in this blood and ducks is funny.
Well, I guess I was just it's kind of like, for me, it's just like the chicken in The Hangover. It just is there for funny and not to be explained. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we have Pearl. Oh, it's this. I remember seeing random behind the scenes pictures of this. Ugh. I
Really?
remember seeing random behind the scenes pictures of this, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it wasn't until years later that I'm like, oh, it's a really fat vampire. Who knew?
Yeah, it's like so great. Well, it's funny though is that like growing up, I'd seen this dude, the dude that plays Pearl, in so many movies like Problem Child 2, and because it was just like all the movies that ran in the summer of 1995 on HBO, but it was that and National Lampoon Senior Trip, and yeah, whatever this dude's name, Eric something, but he was just a big. He always played fat dumb characters, and I think he lost a bunch of weight in like either right after this. Right in like the early 2000s, and then I think he kind of stopped working.
Oh yeah, totally. Like if you IMDb him, you take a look at a picture of him now. He is like, he's like my weight. He's like, a nice even 250.
Right.
Oh Jesus, Fry. I also love what he calls him, Biscuit Boy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the whole thing is just, and I love the visuals. It's so fucked up, and it's so cool.
Right? The makeup on it is amazing. And it must have taken like a full week to film this shit. Because
For sure, they said they had to move this. They had to build a set around the suit.
Yeah.
And they had to use forklifts.
Yep.
To make it work because the suit was 700 fucking pounds.
That's
plus him, who at the time I would probably guess was 500 or 600 pounds.
Really, that heavy? Wow.
Dude, he was a big dude, I feel like. I mean, I could be wrong, but like, I feel like there's a reason that if you look through his stuff, there are almost no old photos of him.
Ah, gotcha.
Except for ones where you cannot see his body at all. Which I get it. I mean, I'm a fat person. I totally understand the feeling.
Yeah.
And it's not like the industry is particularly... I mean, now they are cool. Like, I'm getting famous at the perfect time, Tim.
Yes, you really are.
You know?
Well, you're also doing the exact thing that, people in Hollywood want you guys to do. You're here to be fat and funny. Like that's what Kevin Smith. That's what Kevin Smith made his whole career out of.
Seriously,
now, yeah,
being ridiculous. As it were.
Ridiculous. I'm writing that one down for later. That's copyrighted by me now. All right, so now we're into the deep archives, the Vampire Bible, as it are. Apparently, that's like one of the great shorthands for this movie. If you need something to be a special vampire thing, you just slap the word vampire in front of it.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
It smells like vampire asses or whatever the fuck he's. There's so many fucking good quotes in this for so much stupid bullshit.
Oh, I know, dude. Well, again, I credit a lot of that to Wesley Snipes because I feel like he was ad-libbing a lot of his one-liners, especially the most famous, "Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill."
That's right. Spoilers! You ruined the end of the movie now. Now nobody's going to watch to the end.
Well, I mean, if you're kind of...
Now they won't know if people in this film try to skate uphill or not.
I guess I'm the motherfucker who tried skating uphill.
Dude, you stood at the top of the hill and you're like, you flew too close to the sun, Icarus.
Fuck my wings, no. I actually really did like the editing kind of leading into it where it's all visual and there's like no sound with it. Because, vampires in these movies are apparently also fucking ninjas.
Right, which makes sense. I really like the way they handle everything in this. Again, I really feel like this is a movie made by artists. It feels like artists were made. That's sort of, again, I hate to sound like I'm constantly being down on the Marvel movies because they're obviously artists are employed very heavily. But there's just something about these movies where there's like unique art direction and sets and stuff that we just don't get in modern movies in general.
Yeah.
So I really kind of miss this era of action movies in general, but like kind of, I really hope in the future Marvel starts getting a little risky. I really hope Blade is dark and weird and violent and all the things we need it to be. And I do love, by the way, here that we have the other guy that was in all of the 90s action movies that's not Al Leong.
Yeah. Oh, I love this right here where
you
see the thing ticking. Boom! Oh, damn! Such a good payoff.
And that dude's so annoying, too.
Well, actually, because apparently he wasn't that big of a character, played by Donald Lunge. But he wasn't that big at first, but he was just so charismatic and funny.
Oh, yeah.
That they just played him up. And I love the running gag of him Blade taking his hands. Like,
yeah,
that's
it's
such
really great.
Great running gag, dude.
Yeah, that's who I was mentioning earlier about that, because apparently I think that was where my inspiration was, that they were like, oh, we're just going to let these actors kind of get creative with this. I feel like a lot of that freedom was great, because, dude, that actor, Donald Logue, he was in so much cool stuff after this, too. Like, he had that one Fox show that I could never remember the name of that was like an underrated Slayer, but used to get kind of like, I don't know. It was a sitcom, but it was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Trapped something. But he's just been around for a minute. I love see that stuff. I also love that we get the recall back to the stab in the shoulder thing.
Yeah, totally.
Just the design of those silver weapons in this movie.
Yeah,
it's
the
so
stakes.
They're like sleek and kind of like sexy looking, but also super violent.
They look like giant bullets, Oh, I love this. Oh, shit. You'd think they would have put their sacred ancient vampire Bible behind unbreakable glass.
Very true. The 90s were a different place. You have to imagine there's a little hubris in action here.
But in all fairness, the glass shattering with the bullets flashes looks fucking amazing.
Oh, so it looks so good.
Right? And again, it feels very much like a precursor to the Matrix, you know? Like all these stakes, all these dudes with machine guns, squibs going off, like
Wild visuals.
leather jackets and sunglasses. Like, yeah, dude. Oh, yeah, the subway. Here we go. Man, I love the way they, even though we kind of know this, the subway CG, the strobe light effect is actually kind of cool to look at.
Well, I think what's kind of interesting here is that while a lot of the CG doesn't work, like that fire is not great.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he has similar fire effects in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I remember, for some weird reason, but I remember thinking that when I saw that in theaters 20 years ago, which was sad, but I had a movie review blog, so I saw literally everything at the time. But it was awful. I always joke, I was like, there's not enough weed in the world for that movie. But no, seriously, with the effects in this movie in general is that even though a lot of them don't necessarily work on a technical level, they are so stylized. It's kind of like, crude animation. When you look at it, you're like, I don't know about this. It's not beautiful. But then you're like, oh, the way it moves makes it make sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like so stylish and it's designed more to look cool than necessarily function. So I think it's easy to forgive. And I think that's, again, one of the reasons that this movie holds up 23 years later. You know what I mean?
Dude. And plus, especially, in the wake of not just the Black Lives Matter movement, but also in just like the wake of, Black Panther being the only black superhero movie. Like, we need more movies like that from.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, and it was interesting that we didn't get a bunch of movies based on or, around that after the success of this.
Yeah. Oh, well, thankfully we still got like a brilliant sequel for this, though. Oh, and I love this bit. We're going to I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to Buster Keaton this shit.
Yeah, so great.
Oh, dude. Oh, shit.
Here we go.
He's wounded.
Here we go.
Also, can we talk about Nabush Wright? I believe that's how you're saying your name. As Dr. Jensen here.
Yeah.
Like, she's actually legit good. Not gonna lie, because
I also love that she is not a love interest. Like, they don't do the obvious thing here.
They don't.
This movie has a lot of things that I really love about it that I'm like, oh, for any of the silly flaw things, what I love so much about it is that it doesn't force the love interest thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And
right.
she has like this total reason to exist in the world. I mean, she's a doctor. She works around blood, so it makes sense that they work together.
Yeah.
But I think it's so brilliant, and they don't force any of the stupid stuff. Because it's all like window dressing, right? It doesn't matter. It's not the point of this story anyway.
Mm-hmm. Although it's actually kind of funny because, the studio originally thought, oh, we'll just get like another, relatively known actor or actress to fill in the boots. Like, well, just like I get like a white girl, whatever. But Wesley Snipes was insistent on like getting a black actress, which honestly totally works for it. Because yeah. Oh, and now we get some backstory about Blade. I found him when I was 13 and raised him and trained him. He also doesn't age like the others. He's got all their strengths and none of their weaknesses, except the bloodlust. Yep. So I'm curious. Who would you like to see play Whisperer in the new one, or Whistler in the new one?
Sam Elliott.
Yo, that would be fucking dope.
Because he's old enough now, and I don't really know. I feel like they just want somebody. Like, the thing with Sam Elliott too is that I still think he looks like he's in good enough shape. that he could do it.
I mean, hell.
Whereas Whistler doesn't look like he's not in good enough shape here, but you know what I mean? They're like both in that perfect pocket of age. I feel like that's my quick answer. It's a little on the nose. It's a little obvious, but you know.
You know what? I'm in for it. Although it would have been interesting if he wasn't already a Marvel villain, but it would have been interesting to see. Wow, shit. Wow, I can't believe I'm blanking on names right now. It hurts. Fucking Jeff Bridges. Thank you.
Oh, Jeff Bridges would be great, but he's too busy yelling that Tony Stark built this in a cave,
yeah,
out of scraps.
Yes.
You know.
It would have been interesting to see if Jeff Bridges, like, you know, pull off his Lebowski hair again for the role.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Sam
awesome.
Well, Sam Elliott would still definitely be a really good one. I'm trying to think of some other really good ones. Because you know who they actually really tried to push for the villain in all three of the Blade movies, but you know Sony was like, no. They really wanted to do Morbius.
Yeah, that would have been sweet.
I don't know. I still don't know if they'll be able to do it for these new ones because you know Sony and Disney are just so back and forth right now. It's hard to tell.
For real. Well, I heard a rumor today that so this was leaked through. This is a really weird way to get this rumor, but apparently their relationship's going pretty well right now, and I would not be surprised if this was part of the Spider-Man deal. Because Sony's about to release the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And by the time this episode airs, we'll probably know now more than we know now. But the rumor that I read today was that there was a leak about, like, you know, they do like those like remote controls you can get for the consoles too,
right.
for like the media remote. Well, apparently the PlayStation 4 one has 4 branded buttons on the controller at the bottom, like, and if you look at mock-ups right now, it's all white down there now for the 4 buttons.
Okay.
But they're saying that at least in the European versions, one of the buttons is a Disney Plus button, like branded onto the controller. Whoa. So that you could automatically launch it. And I would not be surprised to find out that that's a thing. And I also wouldn't be surprised to find out that while MCU might not acknowledge the Sony stuff, I bet everybody's going to play a little bit more ball for a little while. Right? That's my guess.
Yo. And honestly, I'm okay with Sony, you know, holding on to the rights of mostly the Spider-Man universe. Because if there's any Marvel superhero to have like his own sub-universe, it's Spider-Man. He has by far the best rogues gallery and the best supporting cast. So I'm okay with that.
Right.
But yeah, I would love to see if Morbius was like the big Spider-Man crossover villain for Blade in the new one. That'd be fun. Cool.
Yeah, the thing is, Jared Leto's a weirdo that runs a cult, but he's like a good actor. So until it turns out that he's doing like something evil in his cult besides just being weird, I'll continue supporting him. You know what I mean? I'm like, let me know if something goes bad so I can denounce my fandom. But
he already kind of lost me with Joker, but that's a whole other podcast.
For sure.
Yeah. So, okay, now here's another thing that came up, I remember, because this was actually a joke in What We Do in the Shadows. Spoiler, I guess, so you can, like, just mute for a sec if you haven't seen the show or whatnot. But there's an episode where, like, one of the side characters gets turned by one of the main vampires. And she's like unaware what to do and whatnot, and then the one who bit her starts showing her the ropes of how to be a vampire and discover her inner power and shit. And towards the end of the episode, he's like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I just ate my first guy, and like I'm immortal and I have powers. This is great. Can we watch the sunrise together?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that." No, wait, I remember this movie Blade, where we just wear motorcycle helmets. We can watch the sunrise. And as the sun hits them, they start charring from the inside, and they have to go inside.
Oh, that's good.
It's so funny. Which I'm like,
oh, that's really funny.
It is funny because when you think about, oh, dude, this was so nasty, pulling like from one vampire or another, tearing the fangs out of your mouth. That's really personal.
Yeah, right.
But I always did wonder, how the hell do they survive by just wearing motorcycle helmets and gear? Like, what's the science behind that? I don't get it.
That's a good question.
It's just, I think, weird movie bullshit.
Yeah, I think there's a good amount of that happens in these early era movies where they're just like, well, we just do that because it's cool.
Also, man, the sun rises so fucking fast, doesn't it?
It's so true, dude.
I do love the burning effect, though. Although, do you notice? Like, oh my god, look at that shit. That's like a mix between Raiders of the Lost Ark and Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh yeah, it's so cool, dude.
But do you notice that's the other thing about this movie and with the vampires? You know, usually if you put them in sunlight, they burn for a little bit and they eventually burn into a crisp. But if you kill one of these things, immediately they're like, poof, gone. Like they just immediately vaporize into a crisp. Like one tiny little hit of silver or silver or a wooden whatever. Like immediately they're like, poof, they're gone. I guess they're really sensitive.
Way too sensitive, it turns out. Sorry, I got caught up. What I love about this show is that I sometimes get caught back up in the movies.
Oh, right on. Yeah, well, it has been a while since you've watched this, hasn't it?
You know, not that long because I just showed it to Lindsay in the last year, and I think I made my buddy James. Oh, you met James?
Yeah.
Right? I think I made James watch it within the last year or two as well.
Oh, right.
I think we watched maybe 1 and 2. I know Lindsay and I definitely watched 1 and 2. I think James may have just watched the first one with me.
Okay.
But
because like I said, I watched this for the first time a couple of days ago just to prep for the episode. And besides, I've been putting it off for way too long because this really is, undoubtedly Wesley Snipes' signature role.
Yeah, definitely.
I know it's definitely the one he's most proud of.
I'm sure it was a big deal, man. Like he really blew up with this. He was already pretty famous, but he blew up the Marvel game was just awesome at this point, because we didn't have anything. Marvel wasn't a thing, I mean, it was
really,
to the nerds.
Superheroes weren't much of a thing.
Yeah, this was like a movie that I remember my mom watching at the time. She watched some of the X-Men cartoon and stuff with me because I didn't have friends. But she didn't love it the way I loved it. But I remember this is one of those things where, like I said, because my parents were like action movie and Wesley Snipes fan, I was always curious why they did not want to see this movie with me. I was like, what did Wesley Snipes make right before Blade that made my parents go, no? You know what I mean? I know Money Train was right before it. That movie ruled,
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm trying to think. I think the other thing that he was probably most famous for before this was Demolition Man.
Another underrated banger.
Yeah, dude, that was an amazing performance. Just
Simon Phoenix is awesome, dude. Yeah, Simon Phoenix rules.
I
love it's so fun.
I really hope if they ever do a remake, they give him a cameo in that movie too. Give him all the cameos. This guy is just deserves to have all the cool, fun roles again.
Yeah, he's that guy.
Toads. Did you hear he's actually in the sequel to Coming to America?
Who's that?
Wesley.
Snipes?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm very curious. I hope that ends up being good.
I doubt it, but
right. It's like most of those. The thing is, it's like every so often though you get a Bill and Ted out of it, and
That's
I will
true.
say, I did really like Bill and Ted. What was the other one that was the most recent movie that what's his name did? Eddie Murphy. Holy shit. Dolomite. Did you watch that?
Okay. I haven't seen that. Okay.
Oh, it's super fun. It was a ton of fun. It's not groundbreaking or anything like that, but it's a movie that I had zero desire to watch. We kind of put on accident. One of those well, fuck it, it's new. Let's see if it sucks. And then it turned out to be legitimately pretty wonderful. I mean, we had a great time. And by the way, Wesley Snipes is in Dolomite and is excellent in it. One of the highlights of the movie for me.
Right on. I'll put it on the list.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. It was good. Eddie Murphy's on He's funny. The cast is overall great. It's like like I said, it's a light little movie, but I think you'll enjoy it.
Sweet.
Oh, this scene's great, and
Yeah.
the shot of the bullets here is so. It's again, the CG itself is a little dated,
Yes.
but
You
know,
it's still
again, the style is cool, so it almost doesn't matter.
It's also Matrix before Matrix. That's fucking bullet time, dodging bullets before the fucking Matrix. This movie did everything first. This is awesome. Because I still remember, like, people like looked at Blade 2 and especially Blade 3 and they're like, oh, they're just like capitalizing on the Matrix. The Matrix just came out, and like a whole bunch of all these other really kind of crappy movies.
Yeah.
Well, dude, look at the first one. It's doing Matrix before Matrix was a thing.
For sure.
So I'm like, lay off, because these movies are fucking great. I also love how calm that kid is. Oh, and that's the other thing. He's like, how is he surviving out in the day? Just a shitload of sunscreen. I'm like,
yeah, it's again because it's cool and it's a movie.
Like, whatever.
This was his first day on set, by the way.
Yes, and this is the point where everyone was like, where things got really tense at first. But thankfully, things kind of like kind of evened out as the shoot went on. It was just kind of a rocky start for him.
Oh, for sure. And it worked out good. I can imagine Wesley Snipes. Here's the thing. I don't think people know how talented he is.
Mm-hmm.
And because he did a lot of action-y things, he kind of got known as that guy.
Well, yeah, he's a martial artist.
Pigeonholed, but then you forget about roles that he took, like Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, which was like, a pretty interesting thing, especially in the 90s. Like, I imagine, look, I mean, there's, I'm not trying to get into some like big sociological or society-wide, where I'm going, conversation.
Yeah.
I imagine in the 90s, Wesley Snipes caught a lot of flack for being a straight black dude playing a gay guy, a gay cross-dresser in a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, that's like really cool and ahead of the time. And he did a lot of he's like constantly taking little roles like that. I'm thinking now again to like Dolomite even, where I was like,
there's the bullet time. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. I'm just like, oh shit,
oh,
there
no,
it
you're
is.
fine. Yeah.
Also, this is only the first of what's to come of a villain throwing a kid at Blade and then running away. Isn't that a weird trope that comes back?
It's effective.
It's so dumb though. Although it's really dumb in Blade Trinity. That's one of the other few bits that I saw, him like catching the baby in midair, which I'm like, what happened? And now we're trying to work on the cure for vampirism, which that's such a smart idea to have her as a hematologist.
Oh yeah, because like I said, it definitely gives her a reason to be in the movie, and without forcing a love relationship, it helps Blade out some.
Yeah, and it adds a little bit of brains to the team, because Whistler's been trying to find a cure for vampirism for ages, and it's never worked for him. But maybe there's a little something else that she knows that he doesn't, that might have some progress in that,
Oh, absolutely.
Oh shit! I love how he has the shotgun in the lamp above.
Right, that's the best place to keep them.
And in these movies, all ninjas are silent. All vampires are silent ninjas.
Except for this group, because they're very loud.
Yes. Oh, shit. Got him in the bad leg. Get up, Whistler. Get up. Just has a taste of blood. Boy, I kind of wish that he just straight up just said, "Bite me."
I, on the other hand, am very glad he did not.
No, I can't. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Blade returns to find an old friend in peril.
Right.
You know, this is the one scene that I thought was kind of weird for me, because I honestly thought Whistler perished in this one. So, you know, for all of those of you who've seen the sequel, when he comes back, he's like, oh, he's not... Because when I heard that, you know, he's hunting for Whistler and trying to find his whereabouts, I'm like, wait, didn't he die, though?
Right.
I thought it was a little bit more conclusive than that, but apparently they left it just open enough for him, like, oh, no, he didn't. He totally didn't pull the trigger. He's fine. Oh, so much blood. Boy, I really hope they, the MCU really goes all out with the blood on these.
Yeah, it looks really nice, too.
Yeah. His face actually kind of reminds me of, what's his face? The guy who gets taken over by Agent Smith in the real world, and then gets his face all fucked up by Neo.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that one was in Revolutions. That's probably why you don't remember.
Yeah, like I barely remember the sequels at all.
I love the sequels. I actually did the entire Matrix trilogy. If y'all want to check that out, go, you know, just check out season 1. That was one of my favorite episodes from season 1, especially Reloaded. I really love Reloaded. Don't worry. You're going to make it. I'm only a day away from my retirement.
Right.
Okay, that was another thing that bugged me about this movie.
What's that?
The chosen one trope thing again. Like
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I guess they can get away with it because it was, you know, a thing of the time, and it wasn't like every fucking thing like nowadays, like the chosen one. Because I feel like, you know, the whole chosen one trope really blew up like at post 2005.
Crazy.
Yeah. So
I got lost. I got lost in the performance again.
Oh, well, they're legit good. That's one of the
Yeah.
weird things. Like, you know, because remember, we were in a time, like I said, last year we got fucking, you know, Spawn! And we also had, all right, everyone, chill. Like, that was comic book acting just a year before this. And then they jumped to this, and it's actually like, oh, fuck, they're actually taking it seriously. Thank you, Wesley Snipes.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I totally thought that, I actually love the fact that they were smart enough to include his ring in that close-up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's
Yeah.
a very nice little character building moment.
But yeah, man, like, I actually totally thought, you know, because you hear the gunshot in the background. Yeah, right there. I actually thought that, you know, he actually, you know, shot himself in the head to spare him any more pain or any chance of transformation. But apparently he was just way too popular, so they had to bring him back for the sequel. And they're like, we didn't actually see anything. He didn't actually do it. But I was glad that he did make a comeback for the sequel, because he's delightful in there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what happened. I think there's so many reshoots on this that audiences probably were like, "Oh, you killed our favorite character."
Sad.
You know, besides Blade.
Yeah. by the way, like Blade is. I love how he's just, as Code Geass likes to say, he is zen as fuck right now.
Right.
I have one purpose and one purpose only: to be zen as fuck. And from that day on, I am One Punch. One Punch Stan. Oh, dude, One Punch Stan, internet classic. But yeah, now he's here. He is out for revenge. You killed my father-like figure. I'm coming for you. I forget what the plant is supposed to be for. Do you remember what that was supposed to be?
Yeah, that's his serum. I think that's at least what we're supposed to take. From
okay.
I think it's something that they use in the serum.
Okay, that's right.
Because then she also was doing something somewhat serum related with that EDTA stuff. That would,
Yeah. I also love how in his apartment there is specifically water, just so water reflections can dance on the walls, to spice up the frame. I wonder if Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve?
Yes, I can never remember how to pronounce his last name. I apologize.
But
he's such a good director. But I think maybe I'd like to think that he saw that design and he's like, I'm going to take that and I'm going to make it better and put it in Blade Runner 2049.
Oh man, I am excited for Dune.
Yeah, dude. We because the trailer is just so cool. You want to know how I got this scar?
Yeah. There's a ton of cigarette smoking in this movie, and I love that.
Yeah, there
it's
is.
It's a silly thing,
isn't
but it's
there?
awesome.
I mean, that was kind of... that's actually one thing that I really wish that they did with Whistler's quote-unquote death, is I kind of wish that Blade put just like it's really cliched, but I don't care, but it would have been really cool if he just like put a cigarette in his mouth before he handed him the gun.
Right.
Like,
That's
that would have
awesome.
actually been kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, in the sequels, hopefully.
Yeah. Although, for all the blood, the violence, and the cursing and whatnot for an R-rated movie, I'm actually kind of surprised that they didn't quite go for the for any titties in the movie.
Yeah, but I feel like that's probably an intentional choice ultimately too. Probably, I don't know. That's a good question.
You could have just like snuck some in like one of the party scenes or whatnot. Nothing too crazy, just like a quick little flash or whatever.
I feel like the director doesn't give me that. One of the things I like about this movie is there's not really any sex in it.
Yeah.
Like it's almost is, and the one time there is sexuality in here, it's a scary situation at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not to say that there aren't like sexy elements to it, but at the same time, it never feels like that's the point. That's the only reason I feel like they didn't do that, maybe.
Probably.
But also, I'm sure Marvel wouldn't have been on board for nudity.
Yeah, they're like, we're still going a little bit crazy with the R rating. Let's not go too crazy. Like, we got to have like a little bit of a conscience. But
we're making Dracula, not Caligula.
Fuck yeah, dude! Again, Wesley Snipes did it first. Oh, I love this shot right here with the water. So good. Pull all the levers. Oh, yeah. Here we go. First legit Marvel superhero hallway fight scene. Because that became like a big trope, especially when the MCU came around.
Yeah, really interesting. They were doing that.
But I also
again,
love the
not
fact
things
that,
I thought about.
Yeah. dude, so cool. I love.
Yeah.
Okay, with this part here where he's like, "Yeah, well, this really isn't a cure, but you can still pop some heads with this."
Yeah,
Look at this
the
shit.
EDTA is so great.
Oh,
It's something I wish they had used way more of in the sequels.
right. Oh my god, this
And they
CGI.
do it. They do it too. They just don't really talk about it as much.
Yeah, CGI is so crazy, Pat. I love it. Fuck yeah. Also, can we appreciate the fact that they're doing kind of long, steady, wide-angle takes? Because I know Wesley Snipes has always been like a really big fan of Hong Kong action movies, and he really and I think when he was cast for this, he really wanted to bring those elements to this movie, and it totally shows, you know.
Right.
Because there's not really a whole lot of shaky cam going on, because, you know, Wesley can actually fight. Oh, snap. Why, hello there. Wait. Mom?
Right. Love it. The
Yeah.
reveal
The reveal
of
is
the
actually
century.
pretty fucking solid, actually. Although, as soon as she showed up, I'm like, oh, it was Deacon who bit her originally. Like,
Yeah,
because,
that's pretty fun.
well, I mean, I kind of put that together, like, long before, you know, he's like, you always wanted to meet the vampire who turned your mom. Well, here I am. Like, dude, I already fucking knew. Like, of course you are. Who else would it be?
True.
But I also love
Very
that,
true.
that she hasn't really aged at all. Because apparently the actress is, like, almost 10 years younger than Wesley Snipes at the time. So, like...
Yeah.
But it makes sense, you know, because she was bit in, like,
Yeah.
the 60s, and because they age much slower, it's like, oh, well, that totally makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
We don't have to...
Yeah, it's funny to see her in this sort of small role too. Her name's Sanaa Lathan. She ended up doing quite a bit of work after this.
Oh, did she? Where have I seen
Yeah,
her
like
before?
she had a good run for a while. I don't think she's been in too much lately, but it was one of those things where, like, when she got a little more famous, I was like, damn, that lady looks familiar as hell. And then it turned out it was because she's Blade's mom.
Oh, wait a minute. She was the lead in AVP. Now I recognize her. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot I forgot those existed.
Well, we don't talk about Requiem, but the first AVP, when you know what it is, it's actually not bad. You know, like, especially the second half of AVP. That's actually legit.
Yeah,
good.
I remember seeing it. That's all I remember though. Maybe I'll give it a rewatch one day.
Yeah, again, when you like, yeah, it's you know what it is, like, and it just kind of plays with the lore, and it just has fun. But the second half is, like, legit good. The first half not so much, but whatever. And just don't ever watch Requiem. Like, that's just 90 minutes you're never gonna get back.
I can only imagine. I remember hearing it was really bad.
I actually sat down and watched it because I was like, oh, I actually kind of like the next one, and oh, it's actually going to take place on Earth. This is going to be cool. And I watched it. I'm like, this is the worst this is probably the worst movie I've seen all year. So, and by far the worst cinematography I've ever seen in a movie.
Wow, that's awful.
Yeah. Not like this. At least this movie knows how to present some cool visuals. Look at this set. I actually just realized, wow, what a big set this was.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine, like, you know, man, boy, I really don't know where they got the soundstage for this shit. Back again, and he stole Blade's shades. You're just asking for it now.
Yeah, for real. You're like, this is how this is gonna go. Keep taking body parts.
So this is another thing that was like, wait a minute. So the ancient vampire council set up this ancient temple to resurrect the blood god. Never decided to use it, and yet, despite the fact that it's ancient, it has to be built so precisely so that the exact fluid like plasma thickness of blood has to fall in exactly the right way because when they have them all lined up, the blood drips on their foreheads exactly in the right spots. Like, that kind of engineering kind of baffles me, that everything was be so exact and so big, and they're like, okay, let's never use this. Like,
oh yeah,
very weird.
Yeah, you're like, what's the point?
But you know what? Who cares? It makes for a pretty fun finale. And speaking of the finale, have you seen the alternate ending for the movie?
Oh yeah, with the blood god.
Oh my god,
not great.
Really, really good call on doing those reshoots, because even like the rough visual effects and the fact that you've seen what we've got, it would have been so bad. Oh, I do love.
Oh
this,
yeah,
where he's teasing him, like, dude, not again! I just grew it back.
Yeah, that was so good.
I feel like it was channeling his inner Seymour Hoffman from Twister. The extreme! Yeah. It's the extreme!
Yeah, Dusty, dude. Classic Dusty.
Classic. Pretty sure that's also what Jack Black has based his entire career off of.
Oh, for sure. Too good.
For sure. Oh,
yeah, this whole sequence is pretty fun here. I just love this like quick turnaround. I love everybody. I don't know. There's so much cool stuff going on. I love all like the gothic thing. You know, just the whole gothic aesthetic.
Yep. For an evil supervillain, what he really should have done is just break it and have the liquid spill out onto the floor or down a drain or something. But he just tosses it aside so the hero can use it later.
You have to because of the
big climax at the end.
Right.
But, as Tony Stark has told Loki, not a great plan. Shit. So, yeah, this next part here is great.
By the way, I pretty much want to dress like that lady in the white outfit.
Oh, right.
That's my aesthetic in 2021.
Apparently she wasn't even an actress. She was just a model that the director looked at and like, you got the right kind of sex appeal. I'm putting you in the movie somehow, some way.
Nice.
That's just really, it's just because of the way she was able to rock the white outfit is the way she got the part.
That's too funny. I had no idea.
Yep. Into the pain hole. Whee! Oh, it's the speaking of vampires and super happy fun slides, that Simpsons special that did Dracula. Nice. Super happy fun slide. I probably shouldn't. But when am I going to be here again? All the bones. Look at the bones. He can leap about. He's got huge, sharp. Look at the bones. Oh, yeah, and it's just when you thought that character was kind of wasted at the beginning, they kind of bring him back.
Oh, totally.
Which actually is kind of effective.
A little clever bit where I didn't expect it.
Yeah, me too. Especially that now that he's kind of lost his mind and shit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and the makeup design on him is great, and I love that he's like prepared to. It's funny because like he's definitely lost his mind, and some of the other vampires are like, well, we'll just sort of like, we'll treat you like a familiar. You'd think he would want like the nature of a vampire. Usually, you'd think he would want to kind of keep her a little bit.
I forget. There's actually a story of one of the actors. I think it was actually Donald Logue when he was all in the morgue and he was all burnt up earlier in the movie. When he jumped off the table during that scene, he actually fell wrong and dislocated his jaw.
That's crazy.
It actually was from a previous injury from a motorcycle accident. He just
Yeah.
happened to re-pop it off, but he still had to go to the hospital. But the funny thing was, he still had all of his burn makeup on, so they thought they were treating him for third-degree burns.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's great.
Oh, this part was so uncomfortable to watch. Like,
What in the Game of Thrones is going on here?
It's your mom, dude.
Right. This is not a Ted and Missy situation.
Yeah. Sorry, I got just a bit of an Oedipus complex.
Yeah.
And now we have our Blade Runner action figure in mint condition on display. Because I feel like he's like one of those really good Hot Toys figurines, like in the case, straight out of the case.
That's
now.
Hilarious.
Yeah, well, that's immediately what my mind thought went to. I'm such a lonely nerd.
Dude, I just keep sitting here going like, damn, Wesley Snipes was in incredible shape in this movie.
Cut, dude.
He's just such a beef. He's a big old beefer.
Oh yeah.
Big beefy boy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, beefy Fritos burrito.
Yeah, but Mom, stay away, because this shit is so wrong. Because I remember watching them like, oh, dude, are they doing sexual tension? Like, ew. Oh, or actually, the better one is like, ew. I'm like, oh, don't kiss. Please don't kiss. Don't do it.
Yeah. I wanted them to, though. I was like, do it. That's so weird. And then kill her. It's going to be even weirder.
Actually, I do love what he just kind of looks straight back into her. It's like, just basically, fuck you. Get out of my face. My mama died in 1967. I love she uses her heel specifically to close the entrapment. And now the ritual can begin.
I just want to know what their monthly payment is on this place.
I don't know, dude. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, did they all rent space? Like, they mentioned overseas operations and money laundering and shit, but is that where it's all going to? To the blood chamber that you're never going to use? Such a weird waste. But I do love the extreme close-ups of the Jesus hands, if you will.
I do, yeah. The JCP, as Soundgarden called it, Jesus Christ pose.
Yes.
I always thought this scene was so there. That's like a really horrific scene with his hands and the cuffs being sliced up.
Yeah.
So every time I watch it, it just like makes me cringe so much. I'm like, ugh. Ugh.
Like, I really hope anyone watching isn't like a hemophobe or anything.
Well, dude, it's not okay. Remember, we already talked about how.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it is Halloween. It is the month of Halloween, so
yeah.
What
are you doing any horror movies on as other episodes this month?
Yeah, I started out with not a horror movie, but simply a horror, as I called it, with cats. And then we did 10 Cloverfield Lane was the last episode, and the next episode will be a crazy Nicolas Cage movie. That's really all I'm going to say for now.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and I've got a very special movie that you may have not heard of for Halloween, the Halloween itself special. I'm really excited to talk about that one. But anyway,
cool. Back
to Blade. Meanwhile, back in the movie world of Blade.
Right. La Magra. I love those coffins.
Right.
Yeah, there's just so much cool stuff.
Oh, I forget who. I need to look up who the production designer was, because whoever it was really was kind of ahead of the game. Because even like the temple area here, it almost feels a little Lara Croft, if I might say so.
For sure. Yeah, it's got a little lightweight, maybe Indiana Jones vibe.
Honestly, I think it's more it's too clean to be Indiana Jones. Because
I could see that too.
yeah, we did the Indiana Jones movies already, and we're like, it's they're really, it's really cool how dirty they get. But a movie like Tomb Raider is a lot cleaner because obviously early 2000s. But I still fucking love me Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider. That's probably my go-to guilty pleasure movie.
Oh, I guess yeah. I remember seeing that in theaters when it came out, but I don't remember anything about it.
Give it a rewatch.
Except that it exists.
Give it a
What's
rewatch.
that?
Give it a rewatch, dude, because it's so much fun.
Oh,
It's
that's awesome.
fucking ridiculous. I mean, actually, it is kind of in the spirit of this movie. It's got like a lot of early 2000s kind of action movie tropes. Like, the techno score, lots of guns blazing, and dudes in dressed in black shooting at the protagonist, and like crazy editing, and really charismatic lead, and just dumb, stupid action and horrible CGI, and you just have like the time of your life while you're watching it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, dude. So that might have to be another contract.
Along
episode
those
way in the
lines, you
future.
should check out the Lovecraft Country show on HBO. That's probably over by the time people have already seen this, so hopefully it ends good. But you should check that show out. It's got a little bit of everything you like, all in one show. It's great.
Fuck yeah, dude. I'm in. You got my money. Take my blood tonight.
Tonight. Now I want to sing. Yeah, that's all so weird.
Oh shit, the ritual can now begin. Look at the CGI blood drops.
Yeah.
So
I also
sick.
hate that there's like weird vampire skeletons with wings inside of them, but also love that.
Oh, when they burst out of their mouths, yeah. It's so shitty looking. I actually showed Katie earlier before we started the show. I'm like, Katie, you gotta watch this fucking movie with me sometime because it's so fucking amazing. You want to see how bad the CGI is? Like, I immediately fast forward to this thing. Like, look at this shit. Isn't it amazing? But yeah, look at this. Like, they had to design this where the exact viscosity of blood would fall exactly in the center to fall in an exact right spot. That's fucking bullshit, but I love it.
Right. It's like one of those things you're like, it's a movie, it's just to be cool.
Exactly. Oh my, I love how they're really playing up the sexiness of vampires, because, like when Bram Stoker originally wrote Dracula and created the whole vampire genre, the transferring of fluids was considered a very sensual kind of act. Oh, it's so cool. But yeah, that was kind of weirdly the only quote-unquote not real sex scene in the movie. Because it builds and builds and builds, and then there's like a big climax of it, and then the tension's released with that kind of an image. That's his cum shot. Oh shit, Mom, you walked in on the worst time possible.
Right.
Actually, I love
Dun,
this.
dun.
Right here. Baby, Papa gotta go to kiss from a rose in you. That one shot where he rubs his forehead, I always kind of laugh because he looks like he's from a 90s music video, and it's great.
Yeah, I kind of love Stephen Dorff's performance in this.
Because again, the villain isn't really great, but Stephen Dorff brings just the right amount of ham to it, where
Right.
I can actually kind of have fun with it. Boy, I love how easy these vampires are to sneak up on now. Lightning! Lightning rave anywhere!
Yeah, I wish there were more lightning powers in this.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, Mom, get out of my room in my face. Boom! Oh, so cool. And you gotta love the fact that he disintegrates long before anyone notices. Kiss me.
And the way this goes down is so lovely.
Yeah. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Oh, yeah. There it is. Look at those effects, man.
Yeah, where like suddenly turns into like a Ray Harryhausen movie.
Yeah, he really is. Kind of is, isn't it? Although I will say this, as bad and dated as the CGI is in this sequence, it's still not nearly as bad as Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh, that's like one of the worst ever.
Like, you want to see bad CGI? Look at that shit. Oh, yes, keep going in and out of me. I want all the bat souls. Actually, I thought this whole thing was really cool where his eyes
He gets
go red,
Gambit
like,
eyes.
yeah. Or Morbius eyes, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I love how the vampires disintegrate very, very fast, except when it needs to be dramatic. Like, we need to have a point. Oh, shit. Bye, Mom. And now, I'm gonna fuck you up. Parkour. Get that parkour. Oh, shit. So cool.
Here it is. Oh, such a great shot of him.
And he's gone. Oh, fuck yeah. When he catches the glass, anytime Blade catches the glasses, I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. Yeah, here we go. All right. Now,
that's right.
there is
The jumping
one,
henchman.
There is one minor flaw to this that I'm like, I can actually kind of laugh at. But these vampires seem to be masters of the ancient art of one at a time fighting.
Right.
Like this guy, look at that right there in the background. He's just kind of waiting for his turn. like for the rest of the scene, it's actually not bad. Like, you know, they just keep one guy in frame. But when you clearly have the other guys just kind of waiting their turn in the background, it looks so silly. But I still don't care because my man Wesley Snipes still kicks fucking ass right here. Like, he is just dropping motherfuckers left and right.
Oh, for sure. It's always great to see him do real martial arts. That's what I always liked because he trained for so long.
Kick you. Kick. Yeah!
And him screaming is great.
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah! Oh, this shit's so pumped. And, you know, I don't care. I don't give a shit if it's cliched, but the whole techno soundtrack during martial art, gunplay, action music, I fucking love it, dude. Like, it just gets my blood pumping. Like, I'll even play. I really need to get the Blade soundtracks now. It's I know my wife's gonna look at me like, oh my God, Tim, for real again? Shut up. Oh no, I'm allergic to garlic. Oh wait, no, that's not the garlic. That's the head explodey serum. Kick. No contact. So dumb and great. I love it. You know, I also think, like, you know, New Line looked at Mortal Kombat that they produced earlier, and I'm like, I think we can do this better. and they decided
Yeah,
to do,
right.
and they're like, I think they finally learned from their mistakes to do some really cool martial arts stuff. But god damn, was that fucking fun. And now it leads up to this. Mano y mano.
Man against Mano. I feel like somebody said that in a movie or something like that. But probably funnier when they said it.
Yep. Also, apparently this sword fight did not exist in the original cut. They just went straight to the blood, him becoming the blood god. And I'm actually really glad they decided to reshoot this because A, it's makes for a better climax, and B, this sword fight is legit cool. You know? Although, okay, if you wanted a taste for the blood god, there it is. Look at that. Look at that horse shit. And then this reaction shot. Okay, so I don't think like I don't think even Wesley Snipes was like what the fuck? I think that was his reaction to the special effects in the movie.
There, yeah, he's like he knew.
What the fuck? This is such horseshit. And for the record, folks, I will put in a link in the description for you guys to watch the Blade alternate ending because it's amazingly bad. Holy shit. Like, you thought the blood CGI back right there was awful. Imagine like a full sustained like 5 minutes of that.
Oh yeah, I would watch that.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Totally,
I just want to watch Wesley Snipes do martial arts all the time.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's the future we need.
Totally.
Wesley Snipes doing martial arts.
Whoop.
Dude.
Whoop, whoop. And then boom, opens up and falls right down. Like I said, dude, don't leave your hero weapon shits. Like, actually get rid of that. Oh, I love that catch.
Yeah.
And then boom.
I love.
Right
He's
there.
like, oh, you want your cure?
That's not my serum. That's a cure.
I actually think this is a great way to handle the blood god.
Yeah. Although,
and I love the
that crazy
style
edit.
of those edits and stuff.
Yeah. And here we go. Ah! He said the thing. That was so dumb. That was so dumb. I love the fact that Wesley Snipes just said that, and Goyer and Norrington were just like, that is the dumbest and most insane line I've ever heard. Let's put it in the movie. Oh
I always thought it was so great. It was like, you know, these are the tail end of the action movies from that era.
Yeah.
And I go back to that and I'm like, oh man, I miss those days with the shitty lines, and
shitty one-liners.
Yeah, we're like, some motherfuckers are always trying to do this. You know, you're like, oh shit.
I also love how he turns into the raspberry from the underwear commercials right before he blows up. And even though he completely blows up, the blood god himself blows up in Wesley Snipes' face. Not a drop on him. He is a clean.
That's the only way to do it.
Yeah. And so another thing that was supposed to happen in the alternate ending, when the sun rises, they see a mysterious hooded figure on the other building and whatnot, and he's like, it's time for round 2, pulls out his blade, and then credits. Apparently the guy across from there was actually supposed to be a tease for Morbius.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and guess who played Morbius in the stand-in role? Because again, it's just some dude in a costume. It was actually the director, Stephen Norrington.
Oh, that's actually kind of awesome.
I know. He's
you know about the other alternate ending, right?
Which one?
That they wanted this originally to be like a vampire apocalypse, that like the vampires
Yeah, like the vampires would win and then he would fight him in the sequel. Yeah, man, what a fucking balls move that would have been. Just like have your villains straight up win.
Oh,
and then,
for sure.
Yeah, but they were like, we don't know because this is a really risky movie and we don't know if there's going to be a sequel or if it's going to be successful. But thank God it was because because Blade 2, holy shit, that's an awesome sequel. I also do love how they start bringing it to a bit of an international sort of thing, because in the second one they go all over. They go to all over Europe and whatnot. But here we get like a little tease in Russia. But despite the fact that this was reshot, I still wish that they kind of tried to push to have this guy be another Morbius tease, instead of just another random vampire.
I think they thought they weren't going to get another movie. You know what
Probably,
I mean?
I guess. If I were them, I still would have been like, no, let's really push for this. Let's see if we can do it. Boom.
Yeah, I love the end of that.
Fuck yeah, that little epilogue, fucking great. Especially the visual with the snow, so good. And we got to breakdance our way out of the theater with the cool techno soundtrack.
Right.
I don't,
the 90s.
I fucking miss the 90s so much. It was such a simpler time back then. When we didn't have to wear masks all the time and worry about so much things.
Yeah, so much, dude.
I'm sorry, I got lost there. I got a little bit of a Vietnam 2020 flashback kind of thing going. But yeah, I'm just thinking, was there another major action movie that had like a big techno soundtrack? Not just for like its action sequences and throughout, but also for the credits. Because I can't think of any.
The thing is, that sound was starting to creep into movies through like kind of like smaller movies,
right?
So I feel like at the time it was like, because I feel like you had one of two options back in the 90s. You either had a big score, right? Which in the 90s, you weren't able to easily fake that.
Yes.
So you either hired an orchestra and did a score, which probably cost a shit ton of money. Or in these movies, they probably were able to license cheap, kind of nobodies, right? I say nobodies, but like, there's a huge difference between them paying. I'm willing to bet they paid more for Creedence Clearwater Revival than they did for literally the rest of the soundtrack in this movie. For real. Especially at the time. So you got to think it's like this, when they're in the production of this, it's probably, we said this was 97 or 98?
98, yeah.
Okay, so it comes out in the summer of 98. So it's probably in production from 96.
Yeah.
So at this point, like The Prodigy have just sort of blown up at that point in the US, which, by the way, they wanted The Prodigy to do the soundtrack, but they couldn't do it at the time for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think there was some sort of scheduling error. But I see this and I'm like, I don't know. I could see it slowly creeping in because it was like an affordable music type, and it was becoming cool with the people that were going to that demographic, right? Like the 12 to 16, 12 to 18, they were all about this. So.
Right.
But to answer your question, so I really can't think of a movie that probably had a full soundtrack like that. Maybe. Yeah, and these are movies I haven't seen, so I'm like, I would assume something like Hackers probably would from the like 95.
Oh yeah.
What's the other one? Strange Days with Ray Fine and Angela Bassett. I could imagine those having that. But then again, being a Catherine Bigelow movie, I could also see it having. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, I know.
I could see it having like a score instead.
Yeah, because I think this might be one of the first real mainstream movies to do this kind of a soundtrack too.
Right.
Man, there's
it's
so
funny
many
how many.
firsts.
I didn't even think about that in the comments about ripping off the Matrix the Matrix ripping them off.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they Well, I don't think they really ripped off the Matrix.
I meant the other way around. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the Matrix definitely. Somebody saw some of this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it was like an after the fact thing. Like they already were going for the high speed, slow-mo action.
Like anime.
Yeah, they were already going for that. But in terms of doing like the actual music, because they already had some score going with Don Davis, I imagine somebody saw this while like production was wrapping up, because like Matrix was like started making it in like 96, 97. Because that was a long movie and a hard movie to make, because so many groundbreaking stuff was going on for it. But I can imagine, like, while they're making it, somebody saw this and like, oh my God, they're doing a lot of stuff that we're doing. We're just, granted, we're doing it better, but we should totally steal some stuff off of this. And mostly like the musical sound to it. Like, what was it? The lobby shooting spree, Spy Break by Propeller Heads, that great bit from the lobby shooting spree. You can clearly see they probably, so it's so funny. Like, we go, everyone likes to complain, oh, The Matrix came out and all these other movies decided to capitalize on that popularity and do all these stupid shittily made action sequences, and they're just ripping off The Matrix. Well, I'm going to point out that The Matrix kind of ripped off this movie a little bit. So it's crazy. I mean, but that it just tends to be the creative process, if you will. Like, nothing's really that original. Every artists just kind of steal certain aspects of things, mix and mash it, and make it their own.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, it's an interesting way to blend your influences. I think that's part of the reason I think things like The Matrix work so well is that it is like something where you can recognize the influences, but they still created something pretty original out of that.
Yeah.
Where I can see some of your references, but ultimately this is your baby.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, they totally cast Carrie Ann Moss because she looked kind of like the Major from the Ghost in the Shell movie. Like, blatantly. I know for a fact that they were like, oh yeah, she's totally the Major, because even when the Wachowskis pitched it to Joel Silver to produce, they're like, yeah, we want to show you this movie called Ghost in the Shell. We want to do that, but for real.
For real.
Exactly.
I am for real.
But yeah, so like, wow, that was Blade. How's it aged for you after all these years? Because like you said, you saw it when it came out.
I mean, literally the only thing I feel like that didn't age were some of the CG, and it doesn't bother me. I still love it. I think Wesley Snipes puts in such a great, like, convincing performance. It's not like, it's not like a super deep character, but he adds a lot of humanity to what's going on. It makes it work. Yeah. There's a reason why people like Blade,
Fuck yeah, dude.
I think the action's still a lot of fun. If you enjoy the corny 90s era, like, action, and I say corny, I think that's a little too harsh for this movie, to be honest with you, because I don't find it too corny, but, there's the occasional moments of the ice skating uphill and that kind of shit where you're like, okay,
and
that's
the rubber
maybe
duckies.
Much, but you know what I mean?
Exactly. But it still strikes the right balance, I think. And honestly, because again, we talk about how, like, the early 2000s cliches, the action cliches, were really kind of like kind of cringy now. I admit that, that a lot of those for me are my guilty pleasures to go to, especially since, that was when I started getting a little bit older, like, 8, 10, a little bit more mature. So that became kind of my new currency. Like, that was me being sophisticated. Oh.
Uh-oh. The animals have gotten loose in the background.
Whoa! Someone wrangle the studio animals.
We've got our guest star, Kibby. She just attacked a bowl of food, and I did not anticipate her excitement. She means well. She's just hungry.
Yes, my studio cat is resting beautifully on my wool blanket near my desk, where she usually likes to hang out. She's such a good baby. She is my familiar.
Uh-oh. Oh, there you go.
Did I
got a little Tim tattoo on her neck and shit?
Well, I mean, you guys can't see. Obviously, this is just a recording, but I am in fact wearing my Dracula T-shirt just for the occasion.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about the potentials of this now. Like, I just kept thinking, I was like, what am I going to carve into Kibby's back? For this to work for me in the future.
You know what? I'm pretty sure you can just carve your Mark logo.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
You're
It'll
the
match
Mark.
my bling now. so-
Exactly. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Mark has a whole Facebook page. He's got his own YouTube channel. I've got links in the description for you below. I mean,
Thank you.
So as always, check out his stuff because I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed by now, Mark's a fucking funny guy, and you should totally see more of his stuff. He was in a
thank you
couple
so
of
much, Tim. I
commercials
appreciate
already.
that, buddy.
Oh, of course, dude. I mean, I've seen your commercials because we've been talking about you getting more stuff as an actor. You're doing exactly what you need to do at this stage. Be fat and funny.
Yeah, exactly. Like eating good in the neighborhood, dude.
Exactly, dude. It's really good. And hopefully, so we'll see you. We'll definitely be here next October with Blade 2, right? For sure.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Fuck yeah. I'm excited for
I'm
that one.
only doing Blade episodes now. That's the new twist.
No, it's only an October thing, I assure you.
Well, no,
'cause-
after this, we're going to watch Blade series with Sticky Fingers, I think it was, that played him
right on
that.
Right on. But
Did you know about the Blade series?
I think so, yes.
I don't know if
very
it's good or
vaguely.
bad. I just remember it was like during that time when FX was doing The Shield.
Yeah.
And so the dude playing Blade had just done a popular guest appearance for a few episodes on The
Yep.
Shield
Yep.
and got the Blade gig, I feel like, because of it.
I know it exists. That's about it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's good or bad. I think some people loved it. We should Google that at some point, just
Totally.
so we know,
Totally.
before next year, next October.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, we'll be back next month with another early Marvel movie. It's not going to be another MCU movie. Not quite there yet, but I assure you we'll have some fun. And I'm sure you're looking forward to coming back again, Mark.
Oh, I always am.
Fuck yeah, dude. So I think we can cap it off here. This has been another really good episode of Marvel Movie of the Month with Mark. I've been Tim.
And I'm still Mark on the inside.
On the outside, he's just pain.
I'm mostly
Pain and
gelatin.
blood. You're Pearl. No, that's too mean.
That's super mean. I'm like, oh, well, all right, guys. Well, it's been real doing this show.
So, yeah, we'll see you next month, Mark. And I'll be back again next week again with a really cool, crazy fun Nicolas Cage movie. Stay tuned. So see you guys next week. Been a great audience. This has been Comtrack, where you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. Peace.